Well, guys, between the snow and not being able to get to work yesterday and a few other things that have been going on, uh, getting on eBay and finding a brand new trade super cheap called Death Lives, some stories of Judd's death in there. Coming home and finding that because the eBayer packed it in nothing practically, this thing was rolled up and folded in my P.O. box. Uh, then going to the store and coming out and having a song on the radio come on that I just did not need to hear. I had a few other things going on that I finally got out of the car and I just looked dead into the eyes of the universe above me and realized they were just trying to piss me off. So I know I've been doing a lot of live streams here in the last couple of days, but believe me, there'll be a break coming because I'm planning when the weather breaks. I'm planning a road trip where the next time you see me on YouTube, I may be doing a live chat fundraiser so you can super chat me some money to pay for my freaking bail as the natives sing about my exploits up in the mountains and I become a legend. Hey, what's going on? So I figured I would take this energy and do a rant. And the irony is not lost on me that I'm going to rant about a non-issue. You know what I mean? Hey, what's up, guys? Everybody's already showing up. And the one thing I'm going to talk about is like superheroes not working in the real world. I think if you've ever collected comics as a kid, you had those moments where you kind of wish some hero or something could be real or could it be possible? Could they do this stuff? I see memes all the time saying things like there's 400 billionaires in the world and not a one became Batman. And things like that, laughing about it and stuff. And it's kind of cool to hold on to that kid fantasy, hoping that things like that could happen. Um, when growing up in comics, there were a couple things where people actually tried to go in there and talk about superheroes being in the real world, and they really wouldn't work, right? Watchmen did it. This is the one where we got in there, and Alan Moore really asked what would make somebody get out there and be a real superhero and stuff. And as you get in here, you get into sadist and masochist and titillation and things like that. You know, the comedian became a hero so he'd have an excuse to beat the hell out of somebody. You had Captain Carnage that they talked about who wanted to get the hell beat out of him. You had Night Owl who was like everybody told him to grow up. Hey, what's up, guys? I got your bail right here. We got Scott Connor, Dr. Silver Age, Count Von Strange, Ponadius, a few other people out there. But anyway, and then you get out there. They told Dan to grow up, and then all of a sudden you kind of find out that he needed the costumes to be able to perform sexually and all that stuff. He needed the titillation, things like that. Hey, what's up, guys? So that was talking about what it would take for somebody in the real world to do it. And then there's been other comics stuff, the whole Valiant universe, Defiant universe. People talked about time. They wanted their characters to evolve and age like they did because Marvel and DC had the illusion of change, and comic strips did too, where nothing really changed. Hey, what's up? And then you had Kick-Ass that kind of took a comedic spin on it, but it was still fantasy because our Kick-Ass ended up having some nerves dead and he had some metal put in on his bones and stuff. So it still took it out there and stuff, right? And one of the books that always really kind of pointed out to me from the minute I read it and stuff like that was, the connection, Shadowman #4. There's something in this book that kind of shows why heroes wouldn't work. I'm getting a bad connection. Let me give it a minute here, see if it's going to pick up. I think everybody's getting off work. Uh, so I'll go into Shadowman in here in just a minute and stuff like that. But one of the things that hit around the 2000s and stuff, the late 2000s, that really set me off. And as much as I love comic books and talking about them, I mean, I think I got them all around here and stuff. One of the things that set me off so bad was when in the real world, our world, there started being superheroes walking the street, and they were starting to make the news. And I think this Watchmen, I think this is the one. I have a documentary here somewhere, but I think it's on the Ultimate Watchmen. Is Shadowman Valiant or Ultraverse? Shadowman is Valiant, but Nightman was Ultraverse, and Nightman kind of sprung out from Shadowman. Steve Englehart, I think, did Shadowman when it first came out. Can't remember. So when he left Valiant, he went on and did Nightman, which is what he really wanted to do, And that ended up getting a syndicated TV show. But I think there's a documentary, and you can look on YouTube for them, where they were actually making the news and getting interviewed, and there was people in the real world dressing like superheroes, and it really kind of shocked some people that knew me in the real world about why I was going off about this. Yeah, no wonder I was confused. Um, so basically, you know, superheroes wouldn't work in the real world. The people who were superheroes in the real world, it was one of the first times I took bait and didn't know I was taking bait on the internet. I can't remember if it was MySpace or if it was Facebook or what it was. And I ended up interacting. I had a one of these superheroes, and she was female. I think she was up like in the Seattle area or something like that. But either on MySpace or Facebook or something, she got me going and rolling into an argument. She was just provoking a fight. And we ended up having like what I thought was going to be an existential, grown up talk. And she ended up being very self righteous, very morally superior. And she was into the celebrity of it, and she was narcissistic. And I called her out on it. And as we were going back and forth, I couldn't believe I was actually in an internet fight. But Twitter was very young, and something told me to go check her Twitter because she started responding. Took her longer and longer to respond, but she was just trying to poke for a fight. So I jumped onto Twitter and saw that as we were arguing, she was making fun of me, saying, "This guy is still arguing with me, and I've got him going, and he took the bait and all this stuff." And this was supposed to be somebody who was a superhero in real life. And what they did is that they would do functions where they would say that they were role models and kids could look up to them, and they would do these functions for neighborhoods and stuff. And a documentary ended up getting made about some of these guys. And these, like I said, these were the most narcissistic, self-righteous people who were out for the celebrity of it. And they just decided, and they didn't have much of a life, which is why they had this big void in there to try to get validation in life and make people look up to them by saying they were role models and stuff. It was ridiculous. It was ridiculous, right? And that's always set me up. I can see everyone's here already. Hey, Paulo, what's up? Yeah, a lot of people here. So the thing about this Shadowman book, I think it says a whole lot. I also, like I'm saying, I'm doing a rant here about a non-issue, but I'm getting that energy out. But one of the things that, as a social worker, that I've run across is I've actually interacted with people who have no training, no education in the field and stuff, and they become activists and stuff. And I'm not saying that all activism is wrong, but it's when you make it about you and you want people to listen to you, and then you move on to the next thing. You don't have a face for it and things like that, right? And I can go on and on. There's good activism, and then there's the activism where it's a narcissistic approach. These guys would become super villains with $1 billion. Yeah, and right now I feel like I'm the super villain because I'm like, superheroes in real life suck, you know. But this is part of Unity, chapter 6. This is, I think, 1994, and it's Shadowman number 4. Sounds like Congress. Very nice, Scott. And this story is actually by David Lapham and Jim Shooter, and this was just a chapter in there. Now, the whole point of Unity, going way back in the days, you had Solar Man of the Atom, who was like all powerful in quantum physics. You had to know about quantum physics and stuff. I mean, it really got out there, and he was really all about energy and moving energy. The original Valiant was red hot here in the UK. It was here in the States for a while too. Um, and then you had Erica Pierce, who had the same powers as Solar Man the Atom, and her whole goal was to wipe out all time, and that would wipe us out. And she was going to rebuild, and she had to go to the Lost Land where Turok lived to build all the machinery and stuff she needed to do it. And the thing about it is that a plot hole that could have been in it is what I call the Superman syndrome. If you go back and read old Justice League books or anything where you had Superman with a Spider-Man, even some DC Comics Presents, narcissism, self-promotion sounds like popular YouTube comic book community members. I don't know. I think we all have to have a touch of narcissism to be on here. Even, as much as we play it down, everybody has some narcissism. I mean, it's just how much you get, the frequency, the intensity of it, right? Oh, come on, connection. So anyway, but it was the Superman thing, right? If you go back and read them, it was always Superman getting hit with kryptonite, Superman always getting hit with red solar radiation, Superman getting hit with magic. You tell. Uh, that was the problem with this. Solar was so powerful, Unity would have never really happened. and they addressed it in this issue. A very poor man's you here before. Yeah, okay, welcome. Of course we're humble. Yeah, so and what we did here is this was the issue that Solar Man of the Atom was taken out, but it was genius how they did it, right? So basically this shows the problem with superheroes in real life and my problem with people who think punching people and running off and doing good and stuff like that, they think they've done something when they haven't. They've actually caused more damage. I got to find that Superman and Spider-Man book. It's a classic. It's awesome, man. So basically, we have Shadowman on the street corner, and he sees a man who has beat his wife, punched her, and he's telling the cops that he had to give her a smack just to kind of keep her in line. Hey, thanks, man. Yeah, Tat's awesome, man. Tat is awesome, man. And the guy gets by with it because the cop says, hey, man, sometimes I got to smack my wife around. And the Shadowman sees this. So, he comes back that night, and, the lady's already on the ground with got a little pop in the face. He's drinking his beer, very cliche. Shadow Man pops up, grabs him, turns on the gas oven, puts his face on it, says if he ever hits her again, he'll be back to finish the job and stuff, right? Hey, man, you know what? That sounds like exactly how you want to do it, that eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth thing, right? But as a social worker in my real life and all this stuff like that, I've run across what happens there. Shit rolls downhill. Maybe that guy will not touch his wife for a while, but he's a freaking powder keg building. He's going to blow, right? Or, he's had this guy smack him around, and to feel like a man again, he's going to jerk her around and go right back to smacking her around. The answer is for her to freaking leave. There's shelters and all this stuff that she can do, but you've turned the freaking predator into the victim because what traumatized him? What made him a wife beater? Did he learn it? Was he beat as a kid? Did you re-traumatize the guy? And you've made a mess. You made this guy worse. You didn't save anybody. You just put it off, right? It's a big assumption. And that's my problem with activism and people who have no training in this and no real life experience and stuff. And that would be superheroes. They come into the middle of a fight, which is what I'm about to show you. So after they've set that up, the treasure is awesome looking. Thanks, man. Spleen for spleen. Awesome, man. So what happens is that Shadow Man ends up making his way into the Lost Land, and we have Solar Man of the Atom going against Erica Pierce, right? Right here, there would have been no fight. Shadow Man or Solar could take her out probably like in 60 seconds, right? But what happens is Shadow Man walks in the middle of it watching this stuff. He's watching it. He just sees a man versus a woman, and he's automatically assuming that the woman is the victim here because of what he just saw where the husband was beating the wife. Solar is the good guy. This lady is out to destroy everything, and he's walked in the middle of it not knowing the big picture, everything that's going on. So he jumps in there, and he's able to distract Solar, and Solar is white hot with radiation and stuff. And he pretty much is willing to sacrifice himself to save this woman, who is the villain, who is going to wipe us out. And when he burns himself severely and stuff, probably where he's like at death's door, Erica Pierce is able to set the trap, much like a Ghostbusters trap when they, caught Slimer, and she's able to trap Solar. And now we have our big event where these people ended up staying in the Lost Land for something like a year, trying to stop Erica Pierce from wiping out the universe and stuff, right? And then it turns out when you get to the end of Unity, you find out she was a victim. Her favorite record was Somewhere Over the Rainbow, and she was wanting to make the world pure again because it was evil in her eyes because her father had molested her, and it messed her up all those years and stuff when she was a kid and stuff. It was very subtle and very well done to where, you got the big picture and all this stuff. You start understanding why Solar didn't want to just go in and wipe her out and stuff. He knew her, He probably knew that and stuff, right? So that's why superheroes in the real world probably wouldn't work. You don't have the big picture. You're out there to do good and all this morality stuff. Jim Shooter. I wish Jim Shooter would write more comics. Yeah. I really like Jim Shooter stories and stuff like that. No matter what's going on, he has writing techniques. Speaking of superheroes causing a mess. Speaking of superheroes causing a mess with their well-intentioned actions, did you read the Damage Control series years ago? I think I read both miniseries when they came out. Yeah, Shooter actually uses writing techniques. He uses foreshadowing themes. His stories, like he did there, he mirrored one incident with another one. What we got here? Are you enjoying Batman Black and White? Yes, I am. And pretty soon I'm going to have probably the rest of the series coming. I think I've read the first three, and I order my books online so they accumulate, and I get them every, I don't know, 3 to 5 months or something here lately. So yeah, Batman Black and White. I think I did like a real quick review of the first issue that blew me away. All the symbolism that he had. The guy writing that, Sean Gordon Murphy, I think. He did excellent. Batman took these pills and he shoved them down the Joker's mouth, down his throat, and it was supposed to make him sane or something like that. And that was just like the Joker doing an ideology on him and stuff like that. Man, people came in and out. I lost 3 people all at once. So yeah, I mean, there's so much good stuff in there where you can take it apart. You can read it for exactly what it is, or you can slow down and you can see Murphy painting this big picture of a lot of things to where you can discuss it about it. You don't know which side he's on as a writer, but you can discuss what's going on in there. Very smart writing, very smart writing, and the guy has a technique with art that's just all his own. He uses a lot of thumbprints and stuff to get textures. Puts ink on his thumbs and gets textures. Guy's real creative, and I wonder how. I often wonder how when I read his stuff. I think he draws fast because there's an energy in his art that only comes from like hurrying up and drawing. I'm loving this, but got to go. Looking forward to catching the rewind. Yeah, I'm not on here much longer. I just wanted to do that rant. All right, guys. I'll take a few questions and I'm gonna get off here. I have, thanks to daylight savings time, it's later than what I'm used to, and I still need to eat, and I'm still kind of irritated and pissed off. I got a long week coming up. All right, everybody's taking off. Great to see you guys. Thanks for hanging in there, man. And yeah, be cool, man. Be cool. Later.